I have one of the Andrews brand soaker hoses, which I think are amongst the best, if not the best, available in North America. And I've got a much abused hose here which has recently sprung a leak, and I think the lawn mowing crew failed to pull it up before they mowed. It seems to have gotten some injuries right in this area and possibly somewhere else, so I'm going to do a little leak test and then see if I can fix this by the recommended Andrews method of simply replacing the coupling at the end and moving it down a little bit further past the leaking area. This of course only works if the coupling is fairly near where it's leaking. But I'm going to turn the water on and see if I can isolate exactly how far down the hose it's leaking. So it has a pretty bad leak right here. And a really severe set of leaks right through this area, but I see nothing further than this, so I'm going to cut it off there and re-terminate it, or at least try to. So I've marked a place with a Sharpie marker straight across and a few inches down from the last leak, and I'm going to cut this off square with the scissors. Alright, so that's cut off as square as I can make it. And the next step is to get rid of to remove the coupling from the end and relocate it down to here. So the first thing to do is to remove the O-ring, and that exposes the split tube formed into two D's, and you can kind of see that there's a couple of little D-shaped pieces in there that hold the tubes into that shape. Andrews recommends just grabbing those with a needle nose pliers and pulling it out. So those came out very easily. The thing that's apparently important to remember here is which side gets folded over where it goes into the coupling. And as I can see here, it tends to be folded over that way. And as I expand it, I can see these little pinholes, which are kind of dirty here, but you can see where they are, zigzagged along. There's another one. So the side with the pinholes is facing outwards once the tube is folded over, and the side without the pinholes is the side that gets folded over. So here's the section of hose that I'm keeping, and once again it's pretty easy to see where the tiny holes are. There's one down here. That side needs to be folded so the perforated side is out and the smooth side is in. And then we insert it into the coupling. And they recommend pulling about 6 inches of it through just for convenience, and then inserting the little D's into the the tubing to give it shape. And that's these same little D's here that I pulled out with the needle nose pliers earlier. And even though I made kept careful orientation when I pulled these out, there is this one side of the D that has this little nub on it. And they say that's important. That side faces inwards down the hose and away from where the garden hose is going to connect. So on the coupling here, you can see the little D here and which way it's facing. So now the two D's are inserted into the tube, and they will eventually fold over this way and make the round shape that goes into the coupling. So I've adjusted them so they're just inside the end of the plastic, and squared them up so that they when the tube's folded over, they line up pretty nicely with each other. Now the only thing that remains is to just pull it back into the coupling. So it's about ready to go in there. I'm going to have to use both hands for this. So they're most of the way in. They just need to be pulled a bit more so they wedge in there tighter. This is a slightly tapered coupling, and you just need to make sure they're really wedged in there good. For good measure, I pushed on the rings just a little bit more with the tip of the needle nose pliers to make sure they were really in there all the way. And just as with the factory coupling, it's okay if the edge of the plastic wraps over the D pieces a little bit. It won't close off as long as you have just a little bit of overlap. And I think if you had it too close to the ends, then they might come dislodged when you pull it in there. Anyway, this is better than what the factory provided, so I'm going to check it out now and see how it works. And of course it's important to put that O-ring back in first. And water's coming out. My well pump hasn't kicked on yet, so the pressure's low. Now it's picking up. It's working and there's no leaking. And now, as may be visible, I'm getting good watering, good height on my spray, which it was not doing before with the leak, so success.